And good morning. Geez, I didn't set it up. Scoot over, scoot over. Good morning, Tanya. Good morning, Jody. So welcome to Mid Morning Medium Chat with Adam the Black Swamp Medium. Thank you so much for being here. Good morning, Debbie and Carrie. Good to see you all. Hello, Stephen. Hello, Jill. Good to see you all. Thanks for joining. Yep. It does. See, I'm not ready. Got to turn got to turn on the superstar lights. It's just how it goes. Hey, Jill. Hey, Dad. Um, yeah, no. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. Of course, we are in that. We're going to jump right in. Let's go. We're kind of getting into that last few days of Mercury in retrograde. So I'm kind of curious to see how everybody's week has been. Uh, because obviously this one's been brutal. I've kind of talked about it, with some other friends the last few days, but man, this was definitely one that I'm never going to forget because it just is beating me up left and right. And so I'm looking forward to 4 more days, and then this will finally be over with. I mean, I'm actually kind of hoping that uh, these last 4 days are not going to be as intense as the last several weeks. So who knows? But uh, hey, Carmen, good morning. Let's see. Hey, yeah, Carrie, tough week, very tough. Yeah. Um, no, I don't think there's anybody here in Maine that bought the mega ticket, but who knows? I mean, that would have been a nice one because I know I did see that it was a single ticket. So whoever that was, well, that just changed their life. Hey, Mamie. But yeah, no, so yeah, I just kind of curious. Anybody else that's got any comments about how their week is being? Hey, Jennifer, let me know in the comments how you're doing. Hey, Margaret, good morning. But yeah, like I said, I think for a lot of us. Hey, Chad, good morning. It's just been intense. Now I know not everybody experiences. I know I've had uh, certain retrogrades that haven't been that rough, and I've been in a better position to help people. Whether it's maybe a little cleanse or something like that, just to kind of get them through. Especially because, like I said, this one's been a brutal. And I don't, everybody experiences it differently, and even then, some of us are experiencing it the exact same symptoms, maybe different intensities. But I'm telling you, I mean, uh, you know, even just like the week before, I mean, obviously we're a couple weeks back into normal job routines and things, but I Sunday into Monday was terrible. I mean, it was just like the week before where we still had Monday off, but we returned to work on Tuesday, and so that sleep, going into the beginning of the week, so to speak, I just barely slept, and it was just so crazy. And the only thing different, I mean, other than just not sleeping all night, but I remember when I finally fell asleep, because you're seeing just like the week before, you're seeing the hours kind of tick by. And I remember, finally it was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I just was like, yeah, I'm just, a few more minutes type of thing, and I'm just gonna get up and go. And the next thing I know, my alarm's going off. I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. And then I realized, I got like 15 minutes of like true sleep. So I'm like, yeah, now's the time to get to sleep right before I got to get going. So, here it was. I just thought I was going to lay there for, the last 15, 20 minutes, and I didn't. So, but then it's kind of slowly gotten better as the days went on. Uh, so, I've gotten a little bit better sleep. Some of it's been consistent enough. I mean, nothing great, but, you know, at least something, you know, because it's brutal when you don't sleep. And granted, we all know, there's various reasons for a lot of that. And I've dealt with pretty much all of them, but yeah, it just, for whatever reason. So, you know, good thing is, I have Monday off from work. So, I mean, for the holiday, so I don't have to worry about, anything, crazy Sunday night into Monday. Uh, so I'm kind of happy about that. So I'm excited, but then it'll be interesting, Tuesday or Monday night into Tuesday, we'll see. But see, that's the thing is I'm not going to be dwelling on it because obviously if you put that pressure out there, you put those kind of intentions in a way of like, oh, I hope I sleep well. See, that's the thing is you start kind of shooting yourself, in the foot. So even like I did, 2 weeks ago and this last week, I didn't think about it. I wasn't thinking about work. I wasn't thinking, I mean, the alarm's got to hit, all that kind of stuff. And so I just was refusing to, put anything that would cause me any stress or make me, think, because obviously sometimes we just get on things. Oh, I got to do this tomorrow and I got to do this. I got to go see this, and so you start kind of putting that on you. So then you start kind of worrying. And that's a classic symptom, that, I mean, most or all of us have dealt with that at some point. So let me read a few comments. Joe was saying week has been very rough. Ended with a hubby collapsing on Thursday and emergency surgery. Oh, geez. Well, hopefully Jilly's doing better. Gosh, Lee. But I mean, at least, they could catch it and get to it in time. So yeah, hopefully he's doing better. Yeah. Let's see, Jody. Mine has been very rough. Had a coworker that has only been working with me for a month, knows about my sensitivity, fumes, and smokes, and that was upset with me. Proceeded to spray the entire front office with Lysol, knowing that we have a cleansing wipes because being upset with me. I've been home for 2 straight. Okay, and no voice, and if I talk, I get short of breath. Wow. Praying for the gods and universe the rest of the year is way better. Absolutely. Well, and again, you just put that out there, Jody. I mean, I've always said it, for those that are new and for those that have been around a while, I've always said, look, have your moment, if today was the rough day, okay, boo-hoo, cry, whatever you need to do today. But then when you wake up the next day, you gotta move on. You gotta push that out of the way, regardless of what, if it's still, intense or whatever the situation is. You gotta start somewhere. And if you don't start, it's just going to keep dragging out and it's going to keep pulling you down and it's going to, so you just can't. So, hey, Donna, good morning. Hey, Ward, what's happening? Yeah. I'm talking to HR. It was absolutely, yeah. And Jody, you're right. And that's, yeah, let others deal with it. And because that's ridiculous. There's already a song. Yeah, Margaret, there's already a song by that name. Right. Yeah. So, hopefully, like I said, going back to this retrograde, hopefully, these next 4 days, I mean, it's been intense, so I can't imagine, because I mean, I'm trying to go over all the other ones because I know not as many last year. Not I don't know a good name to. You're right, Dad. We going over I mean, just trying to remember some of the retrogrades. Like, I don't remember them being too crazy like this. Like I said, this one sticks out because it just, sleep, headaches, which I know a lot of people were with. And I was talking to people yesterday about it. I was at a small little party last night for those of us chaperones that were on the Florida trip in November. And so we were hanging out where we weren't under the pressure of this and that. So, hey, Nikki. And, a couple of them were talking about that. Like the one went home Thursday with migraines and stuff. And she does have them often, but it kind of showed up out of nowhere. But I was asking him like, well, what's it been like? Cause most of these people don't know what I do. They don't know these passions that I'm into. So, I was, trying to kind of sneak in a little bit of my, my work stuff. So, and so yeah, I mean, it is what it is, and so we experience these things, we go through them, and Freddie Mercury beat you to it, right? um but and even then, I know the other thing that's been intense, and I don't know if some of you are, granted, a lot of you ladies, probably will I talked about it, so, but I get, you ladies, get to unfortunately deal with this a little bit more than men, but, like the last couple of weeks, especially, these 2 weeks in January, hot flashes for me have been ridiculous, and that's been crazy because, you just feel so warm and hot, just more internally. But yet, if you take your temperature, you're spot on. You're perfectly on the mark. Like every time I would check it when I'd get home, because I'm like, man, feel like I'm burning up, and then I check my temperature and it's exactly where it should be, and I'm like, so I know from previous years, for the last couple of years, it's been it's always been around upgrades. It's always been about, downloading of information, because then it's, worked it out to where it's processed, which makes sense because like right now, Mercury retrograde, we got to sit still, we got to chill out, and we have to, uh, uh, you know, self reflect on what's been going on and just understand more about what we need to do moving forward this year. And so, it's important that, that's why they tell you don't make any huge decisions, don't be buying really super expensive equipment. Really take the time, which, it's winter, so this is a great time for, a Mercury retrograde too, because we can kind of hibernate in a way. Doesn't mean we stop our lives entirely, which, obviously that'd be cool too. So but it's just the point of that we recognize, we understand these things can be different. Now, don't get me wrong. I make sure that, it's not a legit health issue. And, that's why I would truly check my temperature to make sure I'm not, got something going on. But other than that, I would feel fine. So that's why I said it's just, it's not something in particular when you can kind of rule out so many things and realize it's like, okay, no, this is legit because I've been through this before and I knew what, know what to expect, which is helpful. Again, why I do these shows, why I put these posts out there, is to help everybody, because if you go through this, know that you're, it's okay. It might be uncomfortable or might be, kind of worrisome in the beginning, but it's the point. It's the point of just being through this so that way we can help each other out through these. Because again, there's so many new things that are happening. There's so many changes and shifts that are, in the air. I mean, it's been happening for years now, but that's why more and more people, you can see it. There's a lot more people doing, shows. There's a lot more people that are offering services because we're all starting to really connect, and you can see, this isn't, one of those shows that, or most shows that I know, we don't really talk about all the stuff going on in the world. We know it exists. We see enough of it, everywhere. But that's the thing is we're trying to kind of regroup and help each other out, because I think that's what's really going to, be the thing in the end. We're all going to come together and, we got to stop stressing over stuff, and we got to stop, leaning into things that really have no matter. It's, we have to think about what we are doing. So, but, so yeah, so that's, again, that's why sometimes, it may seem like I'm, I might be posting things and it's more of a, negative sense, which isn't the case. I still want to try to share it. So that way, if you're experiencing things similar or it happens to you later on, you guys just can be prepared and know that you'll get through it because you can see me, in the middle of it, or I experienced something. And so, yeah, it's just trying to share the information and stuff. And I try to give you everything I can about it or explain it or what I did to maybe help me get through it and things. So, but if you guys go through things that are unusual, definitely hit me up. And if you don't feel comfortable asking me a question, there's so many others. Some are in the, watching the show right now or watching the show back. There's so many of us out there that are willing to sit and talk with you. And I know I say that often because it's so true. We're all willing to chat. And I've last couple of weeks, I've just had conversations with people. Some people I've never met, and I've had, lengthy conversations about things, and that's all it's been. It's just an exchanging of, experiences, advice, tips, suggestions, all that fun stuff. And it's just to try to help people out in a better way. So, and if I'm fine with that, because sometimes my schedule limits me anyway, because sometimes I don't live close to everybody, and that's, normal. And then, if there's a way to meet up, I certainly try to. It doesn't always work out because again, my schedule, is filled at times. And then, I try, I try to, I've been doing it for a couple of years now. Once I've learned my lessons, I still try to take one day, a week where it's just for me. So that way I can recharge and I can do whatever I want to do and not stress over things and or release stress that has happened all week. So I still try to sneak in some days, whenever I can. Obviously during the work week, it's a little bit more difficult, but if I can take a Saturday or a Sunday and just let it be for me, it's on, you know. Oh, geez, Ward, let's see. Don't try. Just do well, Ward. Hold that second. I got to drink my coffee. So skull to all my Viking friends. But Ward, interesting enough, and I say it, and most people know what I'm going to do, and say. Try is I don't say try on this show, and if I say it, it's truly by accident because I've literally made try a one of the worst. It's the to me the word try is the biggest bad word there is ever, and I'm serious, and I'm not joking. I'm serious. Try is in my dictionary is the worst. Jeremy's there, so yeah, he's in. Try is the biggest bad word one can say, and uh, I then put the humor in it and always leaning it towards Yoda as always. Do or do not. There is no try. That is a phenomenal statement, even though it's in a science fiction movie. However, the truth behind that is genuine because try is an excuse. You open up the doors to well, I don't feel like it today, but you don't. But no, if you can do it today, do it today. If you can't, you can't because you got other things. But don't just throw I'm going to try it today. No, no. I mean, and I will say there is obviously situations and moments that the word does apply. So I'm not saying that the word has to be eliminated from the dictionary. Yeah, Tai Chi. Yeah. But yeah, we, yes, Armani. um, when you, it's amazing when you turn that attitude and you go after something and even if it doesn't work out, so that's the worst case of you doing something, even if it doesn't turn out, you learned from it. And that's the importance of it too. A lot of times when you just go and do it, it works out in the end. Whatever it is, it could be anything. It could be something minor, it could be something major. It's just that you gotta just do it or don't, period. And if you don't do it, you move on. It's not something that then you need to think in your head going, I wish could have did that, or I should have went after it. Nope. That's why it's 50-50. It's either you do it or you don't. Done. And so you'd be amazed that if you really start incorporating it, and a lot of people that's hard to do. It's not, it's easy for me to say because I've had that mentality for a long time. And don't get me wrong, I make the mistake. I still say the word and I've done it, you threw it out there and sure enough, you get lazy and you don't do it. And then you pay the consequences, so, I mean, I'm guilty and I'm not ashamed to say it, so, but that's the thing is you learn from it regardless of what happens. But that's why I like that either you just go for it or you don't, and then you move on. Let's see. Nothing rhymes to something. I'm just saying. That's cool. Armani, exactly. Or as I say, give it a go and see what comes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there is definitely, certain ways to, look at it. But like I said, Yoda puts it great. I mean, do or do not, there is no try. I think it's simplistic and it's right there. So, hey, Kristen, we don't do that on the show in the mornings. This is just a kind of generalized chat, so we don't do readings Saturday mornings. You'd have to kind of keep watching the page whenever I do a pop-up show that which will clearly say reading. So so that's not going to happen this morning. I keep that for open chat and discussions. But yeah, so like I said, we got 4 days left in this the stinker, and doesn't mean that, once the 18th happens, make sure you still kind of watch yourselves for at least a good 1 day, maybe 2 days, because, everything, that's been happening, especially if you've been experiencing it or not, it's just like anything. You just kind of like getting back into, learning how to ride a bike again. You're going to remember how to do it, but you just got to step up into it, So, so just keep that in mind that I know for me, the 19th, maybe the 20th as well. I'm just going to kind of take it easy, but slowly start picking up. Cause I mean, there's tons of things that I've been wanting to do. And again, this retrograde has kind of messed it up, but there's some decisions and things that I'd like to make that have been just keeping on the back burner. I've kept it on low, you know, and I've been cautious, which normally I would just kind of go for it anyway and just kind of ignore the retrograde. But I've got a few things, nothing crazy. I mean, one of them you guys know about. I want to, get back to at least once a month doing another show where it's just a guest. So again, it won't be on a specific, it'll be during the week. But there's the names, there's a bunch of names that I'm still kind of going over. And then I want to get that graphic so that way I can get this rolling. And the retrogrades kick my butt. So I haven't been able to nothing's made sense to me. As far as the naming, and like I said, it's still going to have Black Swamp in the title. It's just going to have a couple other words to it for the specific show, because like this one, Mid Morning Medium Chat, I want to still have that flavor to it, but signify the show, which, like I said, is going to be guest only at least once a month. And it won't necessarily. It could be any day, Monday through Friday, in the evenings. For at least an hour, and so, but that's just the thing. It's, that stuff's on the back burner. Things are all just kind of cooking. And I kept thinking, I'm just going to, burn through it. I'm going to get it done, and all this. And then it's every time I think about it, I don't feel right about it. Or not that I don't want to do it. It's just I don't feel good about the way I'm trying to name it this way. And so I've just kind of stepped back a little bit, took a breather, realizing, hey, it's okay. It's okay. You know what I mean? We're just going to take it easy, and I'm not going to stress over it. So, Armani, I was just going to talk about Friday the 13th before we jump into the topic. Jody, that's the thing is, for sure. I mean, there's so many people, there's so many shows that I've been a guest on, and I've always wanted to return the favor. And so, yeah, I want to absolutely bring, people on that I've known for a while, and want to, trying to get some of the TV people and things on too. So, I mean, there's things I want to, open up and push towards. But again, there's so many people like you and Ken and stuff. And so I just want to do that, and like I said, it's, but that's the point of the show, is that as much as I want it to be a repetitive, hey, Mandy, I want it to be key, just like this one. It's every Saturday. It's at 9:30 in the morning Eastern, but the thing is, I wanted to revolve around where it's my schedule. I know that might be inconvenience for a lot of you, but I want my intention for it to be out there, so that way it's there. Doesn't mean you guys can't watch it back the next day, there'll always be archives, so you can always check them out. But to be able to hit it somewhere within the 4 weeks per month, for an hour, and whether it definitely will be on days where people are already busy or have things going on. But hey, Kate. And so, but that's the thing is I'm not stressing over it. I'm just going to let it happen. It's going to unfold. It's going to be great. And like I said, it's just going to fit in wherever I could. Plus I wanted to fit it around, the guests that I do have on, they might not be able to. So if I had a show every Monday, let's say, but they can't do Monday, sure, I could record it, but it's fun to have this interaction, to see the comments, to see additional questions come in. And that's the point, Yeah, Dad. I mean, well, like I said, that's what the show will be. It'll be one of those that we'll bring people on, local people, TV people, I mean, like I said, hey, Deb, good morning. And there you go. Like Deb and her husband RJ, they had me on their show this past Thursday on Mystical Awakenings, and Deb and RJ is definitely going to be, they'll be a guest on the show too. So it's like I said, there's people like that have been gracious enough to have me on their shows, and I gotta, I know I want to repay the favor and have them on, mine. So, that's just going to be one of those things. So once it starts rolling, like I said, it's just going to kind of, and if it by chance picks up speed to where maybe I can do it 2 times a month, then we'll go there. And my light died. That's why you see all that fuzziness? The light died there. That won't look so green screen effect, but yeah, so it'll be great. Yeah. Armani. Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, we, because again, it's just the schedule. It's just about trying to get it all to fit in. And that's the thing is I don't want to stress over it, which is why once a month, whenever it can fit in the 4 weeks, great. And that'll be great. If it got to the point where I needed to try to really buckle down and get a schedule more regimented, then we'll, I'll work it out, But hey, Sophie. So yeah, so it'll be fun once I get that all worked out. But I'm just keeping things, brewing and things. I'm kind of letting it, work out, and so we'll see what happens. We'll see. So but yeah, but other than that, like I said, real quickly before we jump in, yesterday was Friday the 13th, so I'm kind of curious. Anybody do anything fun? I remember I had at least one friend that was doing a legit Friday the 13th marathon. So they, as soon as they got off work, they were going home, making dinner, and then they were going to be just popping in some of the series. So I'm curious if anybody, got into it, even if it's just one of those things where you think it's more, I can't think of the word right now. Superstitious, did you stay put? Did you hang, what did you do? But I'm just curious, or, anybody have any unusual things on Friday the 13th? Not that you did. So yeah, Margaret, yeah, happy birthday to him. But yeah, I think it's always fun. We don't get the opportunities that much a year, but it always is neat to have, Friday the 13th, a Friday and it being the 13th is always kind of cool. I never have looked at it, as, a superstitious thing or anything like that. I think it is exciting. Carrie saying best day in a long time. Love Friday the 13th. Yeah. See, and again, some people, it works out. Hey, Allie, well, appreciate you joining us. I think you guys are up late right now. So if I'm not mistaken, because I know I've had others from Australia hit me up, and I think it's in like 11 o'clock at night or something like that. You have to let me know, Allie, what time it is for you locally. Let's see. They made a painting. Okay. Oh, Armani saying I lit candles for my friend Charlie who died. Oh, that's cool. That's an awesome a memory of that. That's really cool. Jeremy, other than my youngest daughter getting sick, it was just another day for us. Yeah, yeah, and truly, my Friday was screwed. Okay, okay. Yeah, it's 1:57. Yeah, I was gonna say I thought it would be pretty early. Yeah, you just never know. Oh, look at that! Surely I won $10 on the lottery and some. See, you just never know. See, like Carrie said, there's some good luck out there. So it goes with a lot of things, and it's going to tie into even the topic here. You put those intentions out there. That is so key. And I will be saying intentions until I'm no longer, this body is done and I'm gone and my energy moves on. I'm going to be telling you guys, intentions. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could look at 13th and just put a negative spin on it and be like, oh, this is going to happen, or I'm worried about this. And then guess what? You put that out there and now you should be expecting it. So, hey, Veronica, my friend's father passed. Oh, sorry to hear that. Oh, it was a blessing. I'm sure maybe he was sick. I would assume so, Veronica. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, and obviously condolences to them. Yeah, it's like I said, your intentions can really revolve, and that goes around everything. Powerful, and Carrie saying powerful day for feminine energy. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, just you gotta be positive about a lot of things, even when like you might hear others talking negative about it. Like I said, you can make the best day, and even then, for like my one friend that was just going to watch a Friday the 13th marathon of a bunch of them, but there's the excitement of scary movies, and that had nothing to do negative. It was just like, hey, why not do something on the same day that there's this. Allie, I have 7 kids, most of the same, especially with multiple teams. Right. Debbie, about the Mega Billions ticket purchase at my home in Michigan and state of New York. Looks like I'm staying in Jersey. Right. Yeah. Charlie was 27 when okay, sorry. Yeah, Armani. Yeah. Yeah, too bad one of us didn't win the megas. Yeah, that would have been great. I didn't win. Yeah, I know that. Not that you would have known, because I would have still done the show. I would have probably been even more happy than I am right now. So you guys see how much more positive can one get, right? But yeah, so but yeah, like I said, so when I don't know, I haven't looked, so I have no idea if we get any more Friday the 13th this year. maybe somebody can look on their phone or something like that while while I jump into the topic and stuff. But yeah, no, it's always interesting when it pops up and to see people's, see what people are posting about, to see what people's attitudes are, and just to see, because again, for me, sometimes it's just watching, well, depending on how much caffeine, right? um, yeah, it just, yeah. So sorry, I keep getting a froggy throat, and I gotta it stops me from talking. So, but anyway, yeah. So we'll see what happens. If there's anything more Friday the 13th or not this year, but if not, make sure you're positive if they do show up. Or again, we're going to go through some more Mercury retrogrades. Oh, Veronica saying in October. So, well, thank you. All right, so we get one in. Oh gosh, in October. You're kidding. Okay, see now I got to look real quick. And by the way, it's 1001 for those locally. See, I got to put it in the chat. There it is, officially. um, See, now I got to know exactly what. That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. See, October 13th in October. Whoo, that'll be a good one. See, now we got to do, I may have to save that day, that Friday, if as long as I don't have any type of old mill private investigations or something like that. But I might need to save that, so that way we could do something Friday. That's what I should do. Normally I like to save, like I try to, if I can, because I don't remember. I think it's going to be in the middle of the week this year, but yeah. So unless I have it off, I mean, like last year we, I did readings for the very first time ever on Halloween night, which was great. So that was a fun pop-up show. But maybe because, Halloween is on a Tuesday, I'm wondering if maybe we'll just bump it up. Maybe we'll do it Friday the 13th in October. That might be kind of a fun one. So and that would be another first for me, doing on Friday the 13th. So and there's one in December. Okay. All right. Okay. Debbie, my first son was born on. Wow. Okay. Yeah, see, everyone's talking about this Mercury retrograde currently. Yeah, Allie. Well, 4 more days. I mean, I was talking about it in the beginning of the show. 4 more days and it's over for now, so we can catch a break. But it affects some people. It's affected me really badly this time, and then others it doesn't touch. So it's just kind of one of those things that you're open to see what happens. Doesn't mean you're putting an intention out there, because like I don't want to be affected, but it just happens. It's just the way it is. It's how the stars align. So but Veronica, December, yeah, maybe get a smaller amount. That would be okay. Yeah, Margaret. You never know. You could always win something small. So yeah, so that we'll have to keep that in mind. So I'm gonna mark that down for Friday the 13th in October. Maybe save that, and maybe we'll do live readings that night. That'll be kind of fun. I'm in. Should I wear a Jason mask the whole time? Would that be kind of fun? You guys wouldn't take me seriously then, right? Oh, and then Jerry's birthday's on the 4th. Yeah. So, yeah, you probably couldn't take me seriously if I had a Jason mask on. But then again, I couldn't talk. How would I do that? Would I just have to wave a machete around? Oh my God, this has got me thinking crazy things. Okay. I'm just going to wave my machete. You're just going to have to know what the machete's talking about. Oh man, I love it. I know, that would be, hey, Justin. Wow, that would be interesting. Okay. Well, it gives me some time to plan it out. Maybe I'll start off with the Jason mask on, have some blood dripping down the machete. Not that you're going to see a facial expression, but that would be awesome. Yeah, you never know. Yeah, I could, Margaret. I could. Absolutely. Yeah. So, well, I will mark this down after the show. So we'll definitely keep the 13th in October as blocked off as I can, because yeah, that'll be hilarious. So anyway, yeah, so before, we're almost 26 minutes left. So I mean, again, I don't like to yeah, exactly. I might have to put that in the background. Oh man, and then I'll just walk, in from behind the green screen or something like that. Uh, I'll put a dark background up, I'll put red lights on or something like that. I'll get it all creepy in here. Uh, but yeah, no. So we'll see. But let me touch a little bit on the topic a little bit because I know sometimes that's what people are more looking forward to. Because again, the whole first part for those that are new, the first half of the show is always about just kind of what's going on in the week, anything that we can share with each other, anything to help. And then the last half I try to hit a topic that may or may not be interested in, or something you're just kind of curious about. And I titled it Ancestors, but it was meant because somebody suggested it a couple weeks ago, because I asked for a lot of suggestions that what people wanted to hear again, or wanted to hear that I haven't done. So one of them was connecting with ancestors, and so I wanted to dive into it a little bit. Obviously, even if I would have started this right, when the show lit, it still would take a little bit longer, and especially, going through the motions of it. But I wanted to touch on it because I know some people are curious. It's one thing to be a medium like me and many others. We're used to connecting with spirits, but what's it like to connect with ancestors? And even if you aren't necessarily a medium, you can be sensitive, or you're just whatever, you're just kind of normal, or at least your opinion would be abnormal. You're not hearing or seeing things unusual, but how would you do it? And one thing that I've always talked about, and there's a lot of similarities with everything. And so it's not the most difficult thing. It's only difficult when you're getting started and it is, hey, Tom, good morning. It's only difficult for those that aren't used to doing it. It's in our DNA to do this type of work, to do these type of communications. I've heard it all. Some people are like, no, believe me, it's in your DNA. You can do it. It can unlock. It's just up to you if you want it or not. And there's nothing wrong if you don't. Some people are afraid of what can happen. And that's right. That there is a potential that something can happen. I do deal with the paranormal a lot more, so I do have to be a little bit more cautious because I do run into bad stuff. It does happen, but I have to be ready for it. So there's a lot of mediums that don't touch the paranormal. They just handle readings and gallery readings and things of that sort. And so, which is great. There's no reason that you have to touch the paranormal stuff, I get more excitement out of that too, because, sometimes when people don't know what's going on in their home, and sometimes the equipment's not saying something, sometimes the mediumship helps out. So yeah, Jody. Yep. Right, Deb. But so yeah, it's just one of those things. Just like for me, I didn't do mediumship growing up. Okay. And that's why I want to kind of tie this in for those that don't understand a lot. And that's the point of this. We can't go deep, but we're going to touch it enough to where you'd be like, okay, I'll have to look into this a little bit more. Because even then, I didn't have mediumship growing up. The little things I had was just psychic stuff. And some of you know it, and we're not going to go deep into this, that part. But I was starting to, hey, Mel, I was watching, when the first ghost hunting shows came out, in 2000, I was into it, and I loved the equipment stuff. I mean, it was great. There was an excitement. I've always been into the paranormal. When I started watching stuff, the earliest documentaries on it in the 80s, but when it finally became more and more people were doing it, it was becoming a thing. And I knew I had to do it because it was just a calling. And then you started seeing mediums come in, and not that I didn't see them in the 80s, you just didn't really know a whole lot about it because there wasn't a lot of information, and it was so taboo. I mean, those of us that have some, years on us, it was so taboo, in the 80s and things that just was not talked about. So the idea was to, when I saw what they were doing and how it was able to help, I'm like, I wonder if I can do that, because I was just getting it, learning about my spiritual path, and I was learning to connect with my guides, to help me out with me. And I'm thinking, I was doing it at that point when I first took the classes to when I really wanted to push for mediumship. There was 7 years. There were 7 years that's all I did was meditations. It was talking to my guides, asking them for help, or just constantly connecting and getting to where my brain shuts off, and stops doing logical thoughts, to where it can interfere with the messages that are trying to come in, because you have to be quiet to hear it. So the more I got into it, and then I started seeing how effective it would be, I was like, I jumped in. Got under some mediums, several mediums. I mean, started with, one that was on the team that I'm on now. And we just started going around, hey, Michael John. And, I just started picking up things, and then I started learning from others because it lined up that way. But it just kept getting more and more. But I wanted it. Intentions. What have I said all show? I kept putting attention. I want to do this. I need to do this. It was a calling for me. So I just kept pushing and pushing, and I wanted it, and I set it out every day, and I still do. I still ask for it. And so it did. It just built up. Let me read a couple things real fast before we keep going, because I don't want to miss something that I missed. A lot of people love the paranormal. I love that. You'll be more fresh. Yeah, you're being more full spectrum. That's all. Yeah, Margaret. Allie, done it for years. It comes and goes. Unfortunately, it's now gone because I'm too consumed with everyday life. 7 kids. Yep. I know what you're talking about, because I think you just talked about like what Mel said. There's definitely a difference between ghost hunter and a paranormal investor. Absolutely, Armand. Mel, yep. Busy with 4 kids. It's hard to be connected. Absolutely. 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 Michael John, I know everybody said hi, but thank you for tuning in, buddy. Yeah, Deb. Yeah, it was a pure evil in the 60s and 70s. Absolutely. Yeah. Same here. It was called paranormal from every young age. Yeah. But so, and then, and that's the thing is, as as it became, because then for 2 years, from 2012 to 2014, I just developed it. I kept working with it, and then finally got to the point where I felt comfortable that I, was doing small readings, with just a few people, doing investigations, and, of course, you like the validation, because it does, kind of help, because you want to be right, because that's the stress of it, is when you're finally opening that door, are you truly getting it, So, I mean, and once you get beyond that, so as I kept developing, every few years or so, something new would pop up, like cards, tarot and oracle cards. Those came into play, but they showed up when they needed to. Now, several years ago, I started getting connected with a lot of people, because that's the great thing about it. I started meeting people that were talking to ancestors, and, I'm thinking there's got to be something, difficult about it. It's got to be hard. Maybe it's not the same as connecting to grandma, but come to find out, it really isn't. It's just going through a little bit of a more routine. Now, those that have done it, and I haven't done it a lot, I've done it a good handful of times. And I've only done it when when I know that I need to, for the particular client that I'm working on, because that's usually the case. Now, I've done a little bit for me, as practice to try to, get things going. But again, I've said it a billion times already. I set that intention out there. I'm like, I need to do this. So what I have found, what I've learned and been taught, and what, continues to help me, is that when I set the intention before I'm going to connect with an ancestor, and I may not know what ancestor I'm connecting with yet, because I'm basically almost calling them all out to see whatever you get. Now, sometimes when you're doing a reading for somebody and you're trying to help them out in a situation, you might be able to get a name of an ancestor, and you might be able to, they might be able to research and be like, yeah, that's, my quadruple grandparent, type of thing. So, but it, that, that can happen too, early on. But so when I do that and I go into it, it's literally putting the attention on there. Hey, we're going to connect. So what happens is, this is one of those times that your guides really, that I have found for me, really step up. And they basically are almost kind of holding your hand and stepping you back. And it's a really interesting process, because again, when I do a reading, you ask for the spirit to come forward, whether it's one in particular, or like if it's a bunch of them, because you don't, who wants to really talk and share information. So it's fascinating when you call them, and you kind of start doing this thing where you feel like you're jumping back in time. And I guess that's probably a good way to put it, because it's almost like you can see yourself jumping backwards, like your guides are pulling you back to when this ancestor existed in the time frame. So you almost feel like you're bouncing through history, you're going backwards. And it's neat, because it seems like you're going through, good way to put it is like a veil. You feel like you're going through a veil. And I'm just using that as a cool thing, because it seems like there's a little bit of like a misty cloud, and you go through it, and then you're into the next thing. And so when I've done that, it's just interesting because you see other ancestors is literally like you're going through their tree, their ancestral tree. And just real quick, let's see, one of the oops, I just wanted to read real fast. Um, yeah, one of the things that really got me into the CSB and okay, yeah, more of a shamanic pan. Yeah, Debbie. I mean, you can look at that way. It doesn't mean that it has to be that way. Um, uh, the shamanic styles of working with people, that's a whole nother deep topic. But a little bit, I will say a little bit. It's not all of it, but yes. And then I know Allie's helping out Margaret there. Eventually we'll quiet house mind. Yep. With my readings, I call in spirit. There you go. Yep. Absolutely, Armani. Yep. Ward. What if God is just child belonging to a super advanced alien race? What if in our world, the universe, no dimension is just an artificial, Ward, that's a whole nother, that's a great topic to go down. I mean, there's a ton of interesting avenues, deep roots to go down and stuff. And absolutely, there's a lot of possibilities out there. Some have gotten some answers to some of that. So it is really fascinating. And I mean, and I've done enough to give me some basics, but I haven't had the time to really go deeper with them. But I have seen some things that have definitely dealt with things. I was on, Deb's still watching, I was on her show with her husband RJ Mystical on Mystical Wakings, and I touched on it because I had UFO experiences, and um I eventually realized why I was having those UFO experiences, because it tied into things that I was unlocking and receiving from an alien race. I mean, that's a better way to put it. Sounds far-fetched, I know, because it did at first for me, even though I wasn't afraid of it, but I didn't think that, I always had the intentions out there, but I never thought, it would just all of a sudden happen. And so it did. So, I mean, I have been visited and multiple times in 2021, and even just into 2022. So it can go weird, but it's really, really cool. So but let's see what else wrote out. Okay, I went too far. Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. Good point. Yeah, yep. Yeah, and it is, like I said, it's fascinating. Like I said, we could go there, and we don't have much more time, but well, we can do that sometime, because like even then, I don't know all the answers either. However, I'd love to talk about it. I love to hear what people's opinions are, because is anybody right and is anybody wrong? Nope. we all could be right and we all could be wrong. Who knows? Oh, thanks, Michael John. um, yeah, and absolutely, Armani's correct. Yeah, there is definitely things that are out there, and there's a lot of things that we don't know. However, and again, I don't want to go too far off topic, but a lot of it, what we contemplate, is that we're used to seeing it like now. You guys see me on your phones, your computers, your tablets. I mean, it's a physical image going on, the sound and everything, even though technically a lot of this is, energy. So for things to happen, we have to remember a lot of the stuff that we are experiencing is on an energetic level, which is hard for us Westerners, and I'm going to use it like that, but a lot of us have a hard time dealing with that they just don't understand the energy, the soul, if you will, that's within inside us, is what it's all about. And when we leave, and I have personally had experiences with this, so I know firsthand about the soul, the energy, that it goes on and it exists, and I knew this long before I even thought of mediumship, that it does exist. And so a lot of times we're experiencing other energy fields that will give us an image, just like, when grandma dies, we can ask her to come in. I'll do a reading for her. I can describe her to a T. It's her energy that I'm seeing. You know what I mean? Because obviously she's not here in the true flesh. I'm right now. I'm solid right now. Right. But when grandma shows up, she's not. So it's all an energy thing. So yeah, and Armani's even that they say, yeah, that's the whole point. The truth is the truth. I believe my truth, and I tell the people it's, yep, absolutely, buddy. Yep. I was about to say physical to energy takes learned soul to understand. Yeah, Yeah. And like I said, it's a fun thing to go down, and even then to watch people that are willing to be open about it. And once they like, you can kind of see their energies just kind of shift. And it's like, whoa, I never thought about that. So, hey, Aaron, good morning. Our bodies are a vehicle. Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, so we got about 10 minutes left. We're taught that we body and soul. Yeah. 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 Why is it so far? I know. And it's so weird because again, it's just people have tried to strive away for it. You know, they've tried to steer away from it, excuse me. And it's just one of those things that it's unfortunate, but it's been making a comeback, you know, and that's why I think that's why I do these shows, because I want people to keep these talks up, because it's so important, because we are learning things. Any one of us that might not be connecting right now could be connecting, you know, within the like say next few years. They could get another piece of the puzzle that helps us all out. And that's the beauty of this, you know, all our energies that are within us can pull this information in. So, but like I said, I want, before I go out, you know, before we run out, but, and we might have to circle back on this stuff, energy, aliens, we might have to do that. So, I'm definitely going to put that one down. So that's another thing we got to circle back, because this has been great. But again, before I go too far, you know, out of time, but yeah, with the ancestors, like I said, it's all about, you know, stepping back in time and going to the right place for where you're being called to. So your guides know what's up too. So when you put that intention, that's why they kind of like handhold you to get you to the right ancestor. And even the person that I'm working on, you know, they obviously have to be on board as well. So it's like, hey, you know, I think a classic way to put this too, you know, is look at, you know, we see locations, we see family curses, we've heard about those things. How do we break those? You know, does it live on forever? Can it live on forever? And so sometimes we have to go back, you know, or you personally have had, you know, your life, you know, you're not living the best life. And sometimes it's because of your past. Maybe it's something you did personally. Maybe it was, you know, ancestors that were abusive to you. So we go back and find those particular ancestors, whether they were doing something bad or naughty, you know what I mean? Whatever the case is. But we kind of break them of that. So that way it cuts that cord that's been linked all the way. Cause it's kind of like an attachment in a way, you know, of why some of those things happen and the reason why we want to go there. Now that's one aspect. Other thing is just learning about your history. We can totally go there, learn about what was going on. Cause you know, a lot of times not everything was written down. You know, there wasn't a time where, you know, people knew how to make paper or how to, you know, sometimes you can only, you know, scribe on a rock so much before it washes away, or if you're chipping away at it, you know, it weathers away eventually. So yeah, you know, there's not a lot of information that, you know, is passed down. So sometimes it's nice, you know, i I still have intentions to go back as far as I can to find out, you know, where everything, you know, originated from, for, you know, my family's sake, my history. Because again, you know, we know back a little ways, but what's beyond that? You know, that's what's even more intriguing. You know, it's great to know some things, but what was before that, you know? And I think not, you know, and that comes in with history and stuff. But like I said, so there's a couple of things with the ancestors of whether you're breaking something that they've done and you're trying to cut that, like, and I'll say curse, not that I really mean it like that, but it's just an easy word to use, to cut, you know. So if you've had a, you know, family has always had struggles and things like that, well, let's go back and see if there's something back there. Is there an ancestor that is doing something, or vowed something to happen, or was it something that happened to that ancestor that we need to break, that was, you know? And so it's just continued down, because that, you know, back then, and I don't want to use witchcraft as like a thing, but you know, people sometimes say that, you know, you get a spell put on you, or you know, you have certain indigenous, you know, cultures that will do that. They will put curses on people and places and things. And so you're right, Armani. Yeah, and it is curses. I mean, I'm using because we know it. We know we know a little bit more about it. But yeah, let's see real quickly. I hate going too far. Yeah, sometimes I might saying, yeah, sometimes the realization that energy and physical can be scary and alarming. Pure raw injuries. Gap. Scariest part of Michael John. Scariest part of vulnerability is that you'll be able to share your experiences. You stated, Adam, there's a shift in those that do. Yep, absolutely. Biggest question is what happens when we die? Is there a heaven? That's a topic I have discussed that before, Dad. I don't know if you missed that one, but I have gone down that path. But we can certainly circle back on that again. Allie, all I know is my ancestors were Irish, and that's why I drink so much. Yeah, yeah, I get you there. A lot of history was only passed down orally, right, Debbie? Absolutely, absolutely. Um, that's great. Um, yeah, and right, and Romani, witchcraft is a blanket term. Yeah, yeah, and like I said, I'm only using it because we just know it's easier to use in this point. Not that that's what I truly mean by it, right? um, but yeah, so um, anybody can really do it, and even like when I tell you all, just like in December last month, you know, it's a time of year where I find it, even though there's no classified thing. I do, Ward. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of that. Um, you, even though they don't talk about it, even I just found that in December, it's kind of like where they talk about in October. The veil gets thin and all the spirits come forward and things. I also find that in December, and I think that's not necessarily a veil per se, but I think it's just because again, it's holidays. Whether you celebrate them or not, it's still about getting together. It's still about the love of your family and friends. And so we do. So many people hit me up, getting into December and all the way through the holidays is just like, man, I feel like, or, like my grandpa was coming through, I could smell this, or I could hear this, or, it just things of that sort. So it's, and I forgot where the hell I was going with that. Isn't that great? The problem is I'm trying to do too many things at one time, but it happens. But and that's I know but the whole point was just tying in to who knows. I really am horrible this day. I got a billion things going on in my head, but right, yeah, but connecting, yeah, so right, and then connecting, is just one of those processes that you're not limited to the just the people that are here recently, or died recently, or uh, going back and it's just a few more steps in the process, and that's why I want to say before we run out of time, um, it's not unusual. It's just not obviously something that people discuss or talk about a whole lot, of going back further. It's one thing to go back. I mean, commonly, I haven't really gone back, other than when it truly was for specific reasons to go back even further. But, I haven't really gone back to, on a common reading, I haven't gone back beyond a great, grandma or great grandfather. It's always been relatively within a few generations, but nothing really deep, and like I said, it's mattered when the situation, for my particular client and others, of why we would have to go back further. Again, I mentioned those, and so I'm not going to say it again. But so yeah, it's very possible. Um, even for all of you. Oh, I know. The other thing is, you know, if you want your ancestors to come forward, it's just like what I tell you all the time. If you want, grandma to show up or your mom to show up, whoever you do, you got to talk to them, whether you say it out loud verbally, or you say it within your head, because those energies go out into the universe and that's well received and picked up. And when you ask for them specifically, like saying, your mom or your grandfather or whatever, it's kind of like you just dialed them directly. Yes, you may not hear them, you may not sense them. However, it's just a rule. It's a rule that when you say, "Hey, grandma, can you be here with me right now?" It's that's it. That's it. They're there. They're going to show up. And because some people have rough days and you just want that extra support, from your loved ones. So you throw that out there. Same will apply with ancestors. Hey, I would like to know, you know, 300-400 centuries ago, kind of thing, or 3,000-4,000 years ago. What ancestors are willing to come forward and give me some information? Now, be prepared that even if you don't you haven't unlocked the ability to communicate with them. You're going to have to be wary as soon as you put that intention out there. Watch what happens around you. See if particular programs show up on TV, or something happens on the radio, or something you are drawn to, a book or a person. you got to pick, because sometimes your guides and those ancestors, for lack of better words, is they're going to be giving you those messages. Now, it is kind of like a puzzle, a little bit of a riddle, you know. However, that's the cool thing about it is you'll be able to look at those, and when you put those together, you're going to see the picture. And like I said, if you're going far back, you might have this program that comes on the History Channel or wherever, or you might see a YouTube thing, or you might see a book that pops out that is as clear as a message as it ever could be. And so you need to just be ready for that. So when you put it out there, you want some ancestors to come up, be mindful for several days and just see what happens, see what you feel. Maybe you'll feel something. But again, visually, they know that they got to throw something in front of you, you know, or have you stumble upon something, so that way you can dig into it. So let's see. Life of clairvoyant, one giant multitask. Yeah, Armani. Yeah. Every time I talk to my grandfather, a bird will show up. That's awesome, Allie. Yeah. Yeah. That's very common, very key. Coins is another easy one when you know your loved ones are around. Again, I've talked about it before. If you get a coin, look at the date, the year on it, because it could be that particular year, whether they were born, whether they passed away in, maybe some other significant event of it, or you can break that year apart and bring it down to maybe some phone numbers, dates, you know. So see if that coin relates to somebody that you were hoping that would show up. Let's see. What if luminary, like in my case, were adopted as a young age and don't know my ballot? Yeah, Armani is just one of those things of digging, you know, in, and then just piecing it together. It might take a little time, but it's just digging in. My guys got up and left. And you're right, Dad. As a point of reference, feathers. Yeah, Debbie's got another one. Feathers show up for a lot of people. I've had them tons of times. I've been live on this show and have had angel feathers fall in front of me. So it is a beautiful thing, a beautiful thing. So, but like I said, we're out of time already. And I wanted to just sort of touch on that. And so that's not uncommon. It's not, it's just unusual because we don't talk about, you know, going further back in ancestry. We almost think that we can't do it, but we can. It's just, you just don't hear a lot of people discussing it. And I have done it, you know, like I said, a handful of times, and I've enjoyed it every time. And some of it has been true work, you know, some of it's been bad stuff that we've had to break, you know, attachments type of thing, which have been, you know, like a string of bad luck kind of stuff. So yeah, it's one of those things that it's amazing to do and use. And even Jen, just for common knowledge, like some people are, you know, kind of curious. So like, I don't really have a lot of history. So diving back in, you know, to find it is a beautiful thing. Let's see. Allie's saying real quickly, I asked my grandfather for identical twins. No kidding. The minute after I conceived, I heard their voice say done. Wow. Yeah. And that's awesome. Yeah, Sharon, have a great day. Yeah, that is amazing when you throw those things out there and you are serious about it. You know, you can't have that iffy moment, like, you know, I hope this happens. It's probably not going to happen. You know what I mean? And it's got to be legit. You know, if we were picturing a video with the FPS, would you be viewing it and just speed up your mind? Yeah, would it be viewing it and what would just be the speed of your mind? Right, 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 Warren. Yeah. So yeah, like I said, we could easily go another hour or two on this and stuff, and even go through some scenarios. But yeah, there's not enough time for all that. And I'd rather probably be in person with, you know, if we were to do some ancestral stuff, and who knows, you know, there's always some opportunities. I always try to keep some of these things on the back burner too, just more things, you know, things to do to gather up. You know, it's one thing to do a gallery reading, you know, or do personal readings, you know, but sometimes like this, you know, to be able to go back, you know, and I can only imagine, which, you know, makes me think, it's like, I said gallery reading. I wonder if you could do, you know, ancestral gallery reading, where we're not talking about the people that have passed away in the last, you know, 50, 100 years. Let's go back even further. That might be kind of an entertaining moment. Maybe it has never been done before. I don't know. Copyright that. Nobody steal that. You're gonna get in trouble by me. So but no, yeah, that'll be interesting. I'll have to think about that a little bit more. But anyway, oh, Debbie, you're welcome. So yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. We're 4 minutes past. So I want you guys to have a, you know, some Allie's got to go to bed at least, and then you know, the rest of us are gonna get on with our day. I got some stuff going on. I got to go run out and do some errands, and then got some fun events tonight. So, yeah. Let's see. Be safe out there. Yeah, Armani, be careful. Be safe. Yeah. Michael John, awesome. Yep. Thank you, sir. Have a great weekend. Yep. Nikki, have a good one. So yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Get on with my day. So yeah, guys, have any questions or you got any other suggestions? Yep, night, Ellie. Thanks for joining from all the way over there. Appreciate it. And yeah, if you have any questions, hit me up personally, or any other suggestions and stuff, hit me up privately. Let me know. Like I said, I want these kind of discussions where we can all just sit around and share things. So, I know Armani, I know we do. I know I haven't forgot. I keep seeing, I'm like, I got to get to it. My schedule. I might have time Sunday, Monday. I'll put it that way. I should have some time those one or both of those days. So we're good. Anyway, so yeah, thank you so much for being here. You guys have been awesome. Yeah, let's have a great rest of our weekend. Stay warm for those of us in the colder regions, and yeah, we'll do this again. Watch for more posts, and yeah, we'll see what happens this week. And so I'll probably post on the 18th, saying, I'm going to probably be cheering Mercury retrograde is over. Woo! So, but yeah. Yeah, again, have a great weekend. Thank you for being here, and for all those that are maybe watching this back at a later time. And yeah, it'll be great. So thank you again. So you guys have been watching the Mid-Morning Medium Chat with Adam the Black Swamp Medium, and I will see you again next time. And as always, all my love, light, and peace to each and every single one of you. Take care.